So it's been a long and a roller coaster of a night. Modern Warfare and Warzone ended up getting an update that was anywhere from 50 to 130 gigabytes in size. And on the front-facing side, what was actually listed here for Warzone Changes, there's not a lot, but there was also some surprises hidden in there for both not only Warzone, but also Modern Warfare. So today we're going to break down everything that changed, everything you need to know about the surprising update for Modern Warfare and Warzone. As we go along, let me know your thoughts down below. Are you guys enjoying the content in Warzone, maybe Modern Warfare, or maybe not so much? Whatever it is, feel free to let me know your thoughts. But hopefully enjoy the video. If you did, make sure to drop a like down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Warzone, Cold War, and anything COD related. We'll keep it up to date with all of it. And as well, we're on the road to 400,000 subscribers, so if you'd like to join the community, I'd love to have you. But instead, let's talk about this update. So last night, early this morning, whenever you jump on to Modern Warfare and Warzone, you'll have noticed that you ended up getting the mid-season update for both here. On the Warzone side of things, let's just start out with the patch notes themselves, because as we mentioned, there's not a whole ton that you may expect here for, again, that large a sizing. Early before the update went out, we ended up seeing that Raven published their patch notes here for this, in which it detailed a few general fixes, including a fix for the dev error 6634 on Xbox, but interestingly, not the fix for the dev errors on PC, which relates to some graphics card or GPU specific errors and also some memory leaks, if I'm not mistaken, so that could still be persisting. As well, it mentioned that it fixed subtitles for Sims, Beck, and Garcia, some smaller visual things. Also were included were some gameplay changes in the way of armor now spawning correctly and consistently across the world via ground loot spawns and cache spawns. The TAC map was also updated in a few places where you can now double click to place a danger ping. You can now sometimes get the name of an object, making it easier to see what you're pointing at when hovering over a pingable object. You also will now be able to point out exactly what you want when items are very close together, and then also the UI for the delete pings text was changed to remove my pings. On Rebirth Island, there was an out-of-map exploit fixed. Self-revives in Plunder can now be dropped via the quick inventory menu, and there's also the new ability to clear all pings at once with the bumper ping control scheme. Now, weaponry-wise though, and weapon adjustments, naturally we were kind of assuming that there'd be some major tuning passes, right? Well, unfortunately, that's wrong. The only weapon explicitly changed here was that of the AUG, in which it was only adjusted at the base recoil magnitude, increasing that, adding more recoil at the very base of the weapon for the entirety of it, extending out to all attachments as well. But I don't think this is going to be something that is too much of an issue. It's not something that really seems like it's too drastic a change, so the AUG meta will likely still live on. It was also mentioned that the weapon unlocks will now properly be seen in the after action report if you unlock something in game. And then attachment wise, there were a few things that were as well adjusted in terms of weaponry, in which the suppressor muzzles will now correctly display the muzzle flash concealment as a pro in that attachment details. The Cavalry Lancer barrel now increases damage done to vehicles. The smooth zoom and variable zoom scopes will now properly mount on vertical walls. There was a fix to some of the ADS firing animation issues with scopes. There was a bug fixed where some Cold War barrels were not having their intended effects, and it's all capped off in the patch notes at least, with one final change that Baker's 4th operator mission was now tracking properly. Now, we'll revisit it a little bit more in detail, I think, in the hidden changes video we'll talk about here, scheduled for maybe tomorrow or Friday, but we did also see a couple of unmentioned changes coming into Warzone that were not in those patch notes, such as the containment monitor now in those open silos from the season start. Those can now actually be interacted with, in which they bring the option to buy a few existing items for their same price points, like the gas mask, self-revive, armor box, and loadout drop, but they also introduced the RCXD for $3,000, the advanced UAV for $12,000, and Foresight for $20,000 in the in-game buyable currency. The advanced UAV, I would hope this allows players to actually see Ghost as an actual advanced UAV would allow for Modern Warfare's MP, as dots, not arrows. And then Foresight, well, that was a previous Easter egg item that shows every single zone on your TAC map and minimap, all the way to the point where they showcase where the zones will actually move endgame before they start to close in and shrink for good. It's like endgame recons, but in a kill streak tablet, so it's kind of wild for camping here in my opinion. $20,000, that might actually be pretty low by comparison, so we'll have to see how that plays out. But in addition to that, we also see the bombardment streak, meant to call in a missile barrage over the areas affected by the outbreak, and it requires a key. Now, this actually is something that there is some gameplay out there right now. It seems like it is live. It's not an Easter egg quest, but instead it's something you're going to end up getting from, say, the zombies crates. So that is something you may end up coming across, and later on in the season here, as we gear up towards that rumored nuke event, it seems like this is going to be something that plays a larger piece in that, where we're going to have multiple bombardments going off all at once, instead of just right now where we only have them in downtown, where the zombies are at the bank. Now, it also seems like weapon camos for Cold War weaponry were changed in the Mastery camo section. They're not quite one-to-one with Cold War just yet, but it does look like the texturing on the camos has actually changed. Though, again, not one-to-one for Cold War because Diamond's still not looking too pretty, not looking too hot. But that was something that was adjusted here with this update, and not mentioned in the patch notes. Wolf was also introduced. There may be some delay in the rollout here with this. I know that I personally didn't have it all night, but a couple of my friends that I ended up playing with did have it, so it is something that may be there, may not be, but just give it some time. Wolf is being introduced here. But what's really odd, one, is of course that Warzone update itself is kind of lackluster to say the least. I was actually pretty disappointed here when those patch notes were released and we didn't see any major tuning passes to weaponry, we didn't see any meta shakeup, we didn't see anything in terms of major content additions really added into the Warzone world like a lot of us may have hoped for. But at the same time, what's really odd, kind of redeeming here in terms of maybe saving the evening and making this update not a complete bust, was that Modern Warfare, the base game of Modern Warfare, actually got more content than Warzone and maybe even Cold War whenever comparing these new content additions and how you value each of those items. This update randomly dropped out of nowhere and introduced 3 brand new maps here. Maps that were in the game files for quite some time, so it's not like we didn't know about these, but again, it's just so strange that it dropped now of all times. And again, with absolutely no promotion whatsoever, one of which even having a 24/7 playlist. But we ended up seeing introduced on the Modern Warfare side of things the maps of Killhouse, Airbase, and Drainage. Now, Killhouse isn't exactly the Killhouse that you remember from COD 4 or Modern Warfare Remastered. Instead, it takes the same environment as King, the gunfight map, but then building it out a little further for a full traditional MP map that you end up getting that is kind of Killhouse-esque. A warehouse here where it's just kind of a training course, but turned into an MP map. So that's something that isn't all that bad from a couple of my playthroughs here with it. The spawns, whenever I was playing Hardpoint, they were a bit interesting, kind of rough. I watched a few guys spawn, but to be honest with you, it kind of felt like an aesthetic of Shoot House mixed with King. So kind of that cross here with it, a smaller map, more compact, and definitely a lot of action here to come with it. I'd get back on and play with this one for sure. Al-Raab Airbase, though, this one seems to be like the airbase set from one of the early campaign missions where Price is walking along the fencing there with Laswell, but this is another map that's an interesting one here. There's a lot of tight space for SMG and CQB play, but at the same time, there are long lines of sight that you can use a rifle or, even if you dare, a sniper rifle. So it is something that kind of accompanies all play styles here, but is one you may want to jump in and check out. Then Drainage is the 2v2 map here, the third and final map that we had introduced here. This one kind of reminds me of Euphrates Bridge mixed with the map Overpass from CSGO. Just kind of an aesthetic there with that. So it's a 2v2 map, might not be your cup of tea, but it is something that was introduced and a cool one no less. But again, that's the weird thing here, is that we had no information that this was going to be coming. And when we take a look at the other items associated with this content that we've talked about in the past, we've talked about these maps, but there was no introduction here of Soap or Sparks, the 2 new operators still in the game files. There were no introductions here of the CX-9, the RAL LMG, or the Psychov pistol. So those things are still withheld and could be subject to just random release like these were perhaps. So who knows when that will be coming, but we ended up getting new additions in Modern Warfare as well as Warzone. Overall, again, I think that Modern Warfare kind of saved the day here on this update for me. While Modern Warfare isn't my go-to anymore in terms of COD experience, I'm still more so on Warzone. I was pretty let down by what we had on offer for this Warzone update. So to see something that at least gave other players the option to play around with is definitely cool. But that's where we're going to wrap it up. That is the update here that we have on hand and everything that came along with the mid-season update for Modern Warfare and Warzone. So that said, that's where we're going to wrap it up. I'd love to get your thoughts and feedback down there in the comment section down below. What do you guys think of this year? Are you looking forward to some of these changes within Cold War? Are you guys surprised that we ended up getting 3 new maps introduced within Modern Warfare? Whatever it is, feel free to let me know your thoughts. But hopefully enjoy the video. If you did, make sure to drop a like down below. And of course, if you're new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Warzone, Cold War, and heck, even Modern Warfare from time to time, apparently. So if you guys want to stay up to date with all of that, hit the subscribe button. If you also want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, there's the best places to get content outside of YouTube. Probably live on both those. If you guys want to check out a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, that link is down there in the description below. That said, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.